Welcome everybody to tonight's show. This is the Started Somewhere show, episode number 6. My name is Ross Alex, and I want to welcome you, whether you're joining us live or you're watching here on the replay. Welcome and get excited, get ignited, guys, because I have an incredible guest for tonight's show. I actually been wanting, I think me and Connor, who's our guest tonight, have been kind of playing tag, bouncing back and forth, trying to make this stuff happen. Business has just been busy as always. So I'm so excited that we can make this happen. And our special guest tonight, guys, is Connor Steinbrook, real estate investor out of the DFW area here in Texas. Somebody with a remarkable story. You know, Connor, he is an absolute beast. He actually brought me on his show a couple of months ago. That was a blast. And, you know, we started chatting after the show and he started to tell me a little bit about himself. And I was like, man, I have to get you on my show. So he's a real estate investor. All right. And, he's been in the game for quite some time now. However, dating back years and years and years ago, Connor was a successful professional poker player online, which is something that I think is really, really cool because I absolutely love poker. But everything changed. Everything changed at the drop of a dime. They started shutting down some online poker sites and the ones that he was making a living on. And all of a sudden, everything that he's built up for the past decade was virtually gone. Right? Virtually gone. He's made some bad decisions and it was just a domino effect and he needed to pick things back up. So he found real estate. He hired a coach. He went through some trainings and he started getting results in real estate. Fast forward, he does wholesale deals. He does rehabs. He does joint ventures. He's doing landlord deals. He's buying rentals. He's doing so many things in the real estate space. And he has an incredible story that I want to share with you guys. For those of you that are just tuning in, everybody, please welcome in the chat, Connor Steinbrook. Welcome to the show, man.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Man, everything is rocking. It's a pleasure. First off, I want to thank you for being here, and I'm really excited to, share your story and your golden nuggets and value with the audience here, man.
Yeah, man. Anything I can do to help?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, Connor, I got a gist of your story when we chatted, a couple of months ago. But would you mind to tell us how long have you actually been in the real estate business?
Since the beginning of 2014, I think is when
2014.
I got in.
Okay.
Like 4 years.
Awesome, man. Awesome. And I know things in the real estate world now are going really, really well for you. But can you just take us like way back to that day when you got that like entrepreneurial spirit, man? Like bring us way back, before any of the real estate stuff.
Man, dude, I've been a legit entrepreneur since day one. Like it goes back to when I was a little kid, lemonade stands, I was at school in like second grade and we had like pencil machines and it was this big deal to get college pencils. Everybody wanted their favorite college team and certain teams were harder to get. And we had a pencil machine. This is back before we even had like mechanical pencils, and show you how old I am. But I went directly to the principal and I bought all the pencils that they had in the office at a discount. I started selling them back to people because I controlled the market. I used to sneak on the golf courses and pick up the golf balls and sell them back to the golfers. And so, man, like I've been hustling ever since day one, right? So I've always just been that type of how do I turn it, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And Gary Vee talks about entrepreneurship being like part DNA, right? Yep. I don't know what your thoughts on that, but the more and more entrepreneurs I talk to, they all say the same thing. It's like, I don't know, man. I just wanted to sell shit. Like I just wanted to make money. So that's really cool, man. And you had this entrepreneurial spirit. You started making a little bit of money. You said that you did attend university, right?
Yeah. I went to the University of Oklahoma.
Okay.
I got a business marketing degree. But really what I got was a poker degree, right? So I went off to school, and as a freshman in college, I just remember flipping on the TV and seeing this guy, Chris Moneymaker, win the World Series of Poker. And so what he did was he satellited in. And so as you watch these big TV tournaments, you can either play a tournament for cash win or cash prizes, or you can play to win a seat into a bigger tournament. And so he satellited in from an online tournament, I believe it was like a $40 tournament. And so he turned $40 into a few million. And that sparked this just like revolution, the modern day gold rush for the poker boom, right? So all the college kids in America, all the young guys, basically, their heads exploded, right? They're like, you can turn $40 into millions, because everybody has $40, right, in college, but nobody's got, real money. So I started playing online poker back in party poker days, getting on there playing like 10-cent, 20-cent tables, playing tournaments around college, with friends and stuff. And it just became something that was a hobby of mine that I like to do, that we all did for fun. And it just, I don't know, I just took to it. It just linked up with what my mind thought. And I started going up the stakes, started playing multiple tables at once. And what happened was for those of you who, from the poker world, I was a multi-tabler. I was an upper middle stake multi-tabler. So I'd play, $600, $800, or $600,000 buying tables, 5, 10 tables, and I'd play anywhere from 12 to 24 tables at a time. And I just worked my way up. Yeah,
I've seen that. Like monitors everywhere and like just different games. Like it just looks like absolute chaos, man. It takes a lot of skills to be able to like remember everything all at once, dude. So Connor, back, this is what? Is this 2011? Is it?
No, that was 2003. So that's
2003, excuse me. You were playing poker from 2003 to 2011 was when things kind of got cut off for you?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So back then when you were in university, you're doing these things like the pencils, all these side hustles. Were you using that money to play poker?
No, man. That was when I was like in second grade.
Okay. Excuse me. So,
no. Yeah.
What were you kind of doing to fuel the poker machine back then?
Man, I literally ran it up from like $20. I'd put like $20 in at a time, and I'd play little $5 buying tables, little 10-cent blinds, like literally nothing, just for enjoyment.
Right. Okay.
They had like, little $5. So like, I can't remember exactly how I built my bankroll originally, the first few thousand, but I think I was playing like little $5 multi-table tournaments. And I think I won a couple or made a couple deep runs, and like 300 or 400 person field $5 tournaments. So I'd make a few $100, right? And so like it's just poker has a lot of correlation to business. So like in poker, you're trying to rise up the levels. And so you make 1,000 and you take a shot at a bigger buy-in table or bigger buy-in tournaments, and you get knocked back down. You make some more money and you get knocked back down. And eventually you make some money, but you stay at that level. And then you get to play at that level enough where you're not losing money, but you're not making money. So your skills are getting better. You're building your skill set. You're building your ability to play the game. And eventually you just rise the levels. It's the same thing in business. You start out, you make a bunch of mistakes. You got delays. You got setbacks. But if you just keep pushing, you're going to figure it out and you're going to move forward. You're going to kind of jump up the ladder.
Absolutely, man. I totally agree. So Connor, everything's, going really well for you for years. You're playing poker, you're having fun, you're making money, but then a time came where everything just changed. Yeah. It's almost like the valves were shut off. So can you take us back to that moment when things just took a turn for the worse?
Yeah, I mean, it was April 15th, 2011. They call it Black Friday, right? So at the time, the two biggest poker sites were Full Tilt Poker and PokerStars. This is where the largest consolidation of money in players were. And this is right when, poker world was super strong. Different countries were adopting the game. Literally I was at the peak of my career, making the most money I'd ever made in poker, doing really, really well. And I just woke up that day, tried to log on to Full Tilt Poker, and I'll never forget it. Like a banner popped up and it says, Full Tilt Poker has been shut down by the United States Department of Justice. And I was like, that's weird. And so I went and tried to open up my other account on PokerStars. The same thing. PokerStars has been seized by or taken down by Department of Justice. And without warning, it's hard to explain, because at that time I didn't really realize the severity of the situation. Like I didn't really realize this was it. Like it was shut down. Like I was like, yeah, whatever's gonna happen. Other sites are gonna pop up. Yeah, or like that they were gonna put a penalty for like a month, or I didn't realize this was going to destroy the poker world overnight. Mm-hmm. And so literally after a couple of days, all the panic, people freaking out, there's hundreds of millions of dollars tied up on these sites. Everybody had money tied up. Nobody knew what was happening. There was a panic. And essentially what happened was the online poker world was destroyed overnight. and you had a choice to leave the country to go play in a different state or a different country, or you had to wait it out. And we didn't know what was going on. And so literally at that time period, I was a professional no-limit Texas Hold'em player living in Texas. But if I wanted to play Texas Hold'em, I either had to go to China, Canada, Europe, or I had to travel to Oklahoma to go play on an Indian casino. So I literally couldn't even play Texas Hold'em in Texas. And so it was a crazy situation. And I decided to not leave the country like a lot of my friends did and people did, because there was a lot of misinformation what was going on. I thought it was coming back within a few months. And so what I basically did was I traveled the country, casino hopping. I go Tunica, Biloxi, Atlantic City, Palm Beach Kennel Club, Vegas. So I basically lived out of my car, bouncing around playing poker and trying to make a living doing that. And quickly realized that's not something I wanted to be doing. And as time went by, it looked like I realized that the sites weren't coming back. And online poker and live poker are completely different game sets, right? Because you're playing so many hands against the same players. You're able to use bet timing tells, sizing tells. You're able to use deductive reasoning to work back. So you have information available to make decisions, where if you're going to some random casino and you sit down with 8 people you've never played before, you have no history with them. So how can you know what play to make or how to react against them? So that playing live poker took the skill element out of the game. It took the ability to log lots of hands against certain players and to be able to exploit their weaknesses. And so plus it's a lot slower game. I went from playing 10,000 hands a day down to like 200. And so I was trying to
everything was shaken up for you, man. And in business, Connor, I'm sure you would agree, entrepreneurs in general all have those moments, right, where everything's great and then all hit a roadblock, right? In the real estate world, that could be a property sitting on the market for much longer than expected. That can be a crash in the market. That could be, vandalism. It could be anything. So what would you say to somebody at that point that hits a roadblock, knowing what you know now? How would you, how would you advise that person to get through a moment like that?
Stop blaming everybody else. Stop blaming the other environments. Stop blaming the external environment. So what happened to me was I blamed everybody but myself, right? I blamed the government. I blamed my friends, my family, God, whoever I could blame, but I didn't take blame upon myself, when in reality, I should have saved more of that money when I had it. I shouldn't have spent it. I was like most young guys who make a bunch of money, but I spend it real quick, right? Look at all these professional athletes that make millions and they're broke. And so I made bad decisions. And the more you blame the environment around you, the external environment, the longer you're going to be stuck in that situation where nothing is going to change. And so even if it's not your fault, always take blame for it. Blame yourself. Because by now you take empowerment into an internal environment. Now you can start the process of changing moving forward. But as long as you're blaming other things around you, blaming the poker sites or blaming the government for shutting it down, you can't change, because the power to change is outside your control. And so
I love it.
That was one of the biggest things I had to realize. And one day I was just, you know what, I'm just going to accept blame for everything, blame myself, and move forward, right? And so that's kind of what happened there.
So golden nugget for all the listeners that are tuned in right now, golden nugget number 1 of the night: take responsibility and stop blaming others for the results that you do get or that you don't get. So I know there was a gap from the moment that you stopped playing poker, everything was flipped upside down, to traveling around in your car, going to different casinos around the country, and getting into real estate. So what was going on during that gap? I know it was a few years.
Well, there's a lot of blaming the world and being depressed and just sitting there waiting for things to happen, right? So when people take a big blow in life and get chopped off at the knees, they sit there and they don't take any action. They wait for things to change. And I mean, at the time I was still a little in denial. So I traveled around it was probably about 18 months, 2 years, to about 2013, where I was playing live poker, and I was still making money, but not enough to really want to do it. Like I was only chopping out maybe $60,000 a year, which is, for all the headache and stress of the game and traveling, it's not worth it to do it. And so there was still no end game in sight. So I said, I'm going to have to go out there into the job world. And I went out there, and nobody wanted to hire me because I was basically a gambler in their eyes, and there's 1,000 applications for every job. So quickly I realized I had to create a job for myself. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so I went into network marketing. I tried some kind of like pretty BS network marketing models, even though I love MLMs. I think they're great. I think they've changed a lot of people's lives. A lot of people say they're scams or pyramid schemes, but man, I know people.
It has to be the right one, man. You know, there's a lot of them that are good. There's a lot of them that are bad.
Yeah, like the ones, guys, like if you're looking, someone's pitching you an MLM right now, but you have to buy the product or you have to like really attack your friends and family, those are not the ones, right? But if there's certain models, or you have to buy $5,000 worth of the product and stack it up in your garage, those are going to be the ones that are going to have a tough chance. But I wouldn't, I think it's a lot of people have an opportunity to really make money because the barrier to entry with the endless upside. But, I just didn't like what I was doing. So I went into insurance. I got my health and life license, and I did that for a little bit and realized, man, like this sucks. Like nobody wants what I'm trying to pitch them. I'm trying to sell people stuff they don't want. And I was just like, I can't do this anymore. And so I was getting frustrated. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was legitimately scared. I was like, man, here I am, almost my late 20s, trying to figure out what I'm going to do again.
Against the wall. I need to be successful. What am I going to do? In your biography, you talk about watching an HGTV show, and that sparked something in you to get interested in real estate. So let's talk about that a little bit. The day that you found out, hey, real estate may be an option. Yeah. What was that like?
Yeah. So like, guys, if you're going through a dark time or you're on bottom, you can turn it around really quick, right? You can fall apart in a real short time frame, but you can also turn it around real quick. Sometimes all you need is that spark, that little dream, that little gleam of hope. And so I was watching, flipping shows, right? These HGTV shows, and, they're making 50, 70 grand a house. And I'm like, man, that's what I'm literally traveling around the country, living out hotels, doing all this work. I was like, if I can do one house a year and replace that, and this is real, it's not fake, and this is actually true, this could be something I can do. And plus I'm looking on TV, I'm like, if they can do it, right? Like not to insult somebody,
right.
But like,
I mean, yeah, I get it.
And so that as I basically just started watching these shows. Yeah, I didn't have any cash, I didn't have any credit, I didn't have any money at this time. I mean, I had a little bit of money left over, which we'll talk about, but I thought I needed like a couple $100,000 to go buy a house and then to fix it up. I didn't realize I could leverage other people's money. I was so focused in the poker world, like I didn't even know about all these other different things in life, right? I didn't even know about passive income. Literally, all I knew is that I could play poker and make money. And so I was watching a late night infomercial, literally, because I was not sleeping, and I was like, how am I going to change my life? And it comes on TV. Well, those national gurus like, hey, we're coming through your town. The celebrities I've been watching on TV said they're coming through. Get your free tickets. And so that's what I did. I signed up. I was like, I'm gonna go down and meet these people and see if this is legitimate and see what this is about. Because I had I could literally write everything I knew about real estate on a business card. And I show up, and of course they're not there, right? But what was there was, the pitch for the next weekend's event, the 3-day seminar. And so they went through and they got me all hyped up on wholesale. And so they're like, you don't need any cash or credit. And I was like, really? So they explained the wholesale process, the assignment contract process. So I was getting excited. And so I paid the $2,000 to go to the next weekend's 3-day boot camp and showed up there. And y'all know what happens at those. And quickly before I realized it, I was buying.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, okay.
No, some viewers have never been to the 3 days. So would you just explain the next part? Go ahead.
Yeah, so guys, there's a lot of education training companies out there. Even though I'm in the education business, I'm on the opposite side. So there's companies, they're not all bad, but there's a lot of them out there that are doing things that are not, in my opinion, ethical, right? They're misleading what's they're delivering to you, right? So they get these shiny suit salesmen on stage. They pitch the dream. They make you think you're going to be a millionaire in like the next 6 months. They grossly misrepresent things. For the one I went through, even after I signed up their program, right when I signed up, they made me, like that day I signed a satisfaction, like it was a customer satisfaction thing. So I'm giving 10 out of 10 because I'm so excited. I think I finally found what I'm going to do to change my life. And so even now, that company can still legally market using my information that I said 10 out of 10, even though I think it was the biggest fraud and scam that I went through. It was literally probably like a $500 home study course worth of information that I got. So
right.
And then they pressure people into taking out credit cards. They tell you, hey, on the lunch break, go get your credit cards because you're going to need credit cards to run your business and buy houses, right? Mm-hmm. And then you go take them out. And then they're like, oh, by the way, you could use those credit cards to buy our $50,000 program, right? And so I got a little vendetta against some of these companies. I don't think what they're doing. If they would shit up front and honest, I don't have a problem, but it's the way they go about it, right? So I'll never forget it. I had I think it was like $27,000 left to my name after all the money I made from my previous career. And it was going to be about $35,000 to buy this program. And they, after days of them cornering me and, basically like hard selling me, like literally trapping me in the corner with like 4 guys. Like that's how crazy it is. I finally agreed, and I'll never forget, I was signing the contract, my hands shaking. And I just said, you know what, Connor, you're a gambler. You're going to gamble your entire life on this new business. You're going to put your entire life on the line, and you're going to make it work. Otherwise, you're, SOL, right? So that's what I did. And
it's really admirable, man. I got to give you major props on that for investing in yourself, even though, you're not satisfied and you got a bad taste in your mouth from the program. And I will say, I totally agree with you, man. I've heard many people, new entrepreneurs in real estate, that have that same story. They go through, they feel like they get ripped off. They feel like they just got scammed out of all the, their life savings and whatnot, man. So totally agree with you there. And I really love what you're doing. We'll talk about that towards the end of the show to solve a lot of those issues in the educational space. But how important for a new entrepreneur is it to invest in themselves?
It's a must. If you don't do it, you're never going to make it. Like you can't make it, right? So this is what people don't understand. When they go into business, you're now in the real world. You're in the competition world. So most people that are working in the job world, they're working in the 9-to-5 world. They're working for time. They show up to work. They're present at work, but they may not be creating any value to the marketplace. They're doing just enough to make sure that check comes in and they don't get fired from their job. And this is why so many people struggle when they jump from the job world, the 9-to-5 world, to entrepreneur world, because now they're in the world of competition, right? There's no such thing as a participation trophy in business. You have to win. This is the business of winning. You have to compete. And there's other people out there that are working 16, 18-hour days, studying their ass off, figuring out how to win, figuring out how to put themselves and position themselves in the best way possible to succeed. And if you're not doing something to stay on that level, you're getting left behind. You're getting pushed on the back of the pack. You're like that wandering wildebeest outside the herd that's going to get picked off, right? So you have to build your strengths. You have to build your skill sets. You have to go through self-development. You have to read the books. You have to go to seminars. You have to get the mentors. You have to get this. Otherwise, you're just going to get squeezed out. And so education is very important, but you got to be careful which way you go, right? And so, like, if I could have gone back and bought $500 home study courses versus that one big training company, exponential difference in how I would have had the information and success as compared to what I did.
Absolutely. Now, Connor, I have a follow-up question to that. Although the program that you did invest in didn't quite live up to the expectation, do you feel that made an impact on where you are today at all?
I do. Yeah, I do. I do give it credit for this reason. And I say because they ripped me off so bad, and I was so embarrassed and so frustrated, and just the type of nature I have, I'm just real competitive. I was like, I'm going to make this work despite them, right? People are like, well, you went through this company, you became successful. No, I did it despite them. It's the people that go through these programs, a lot of them are going to make it regardless. It doesn't matter. So successful people have the mindset. It doesn't matter what they do, where they go, or what opportunities they have, or what resources. They're going to figure out how to make it happen. And so that's kind of what I did, and I used that as fuel. So it's, imagine getting thrown off a ship in the ocean. You either keep swimming or you drown. So I had no choice. I had to keep pushing. I'd already burned my ships. I had no money left, and so I had to make it work. And so for that reason, it motivated me to put in the hours. And so I was working 16, 18-hour days. Not a lot of people know this, but I worked 1,100 days straight without a day off. Not one day off. I'd work, even on days when I was sick, days when family members, would pass away. Like I'd go spend all day with the family, and I'd get to the hotel at like 10 at night and work till 5 in the morning because I was serious. I wanted to change my life. I knew it would work. Real estate will work for you if you work hard. It's not a get rich quick business. It's a get rich business. You can definitely make a ton of money in this, but you're not going to do it overnight. So don't buy that. But if you work hard, you put the time and you build the skill sets, you're going to make it. There's just, how many houses do you have to buy to become financially free? 20? it's like, come on, guys, you can figure it out.
Wow. 1,100 days straight. Beast mode, man.
You want to know how it happened? So, okay, this is a true story. I can even pull it up. So when I went through that big training company, they understand people going down this process, going to self-development. They understand people are reading Think and Grow Rich. They understand this. So they're putting up quotes and, Cardone quotes, Gary Vee. So they know, right? And so they're trying to get you in. So I'm like, man, I'm going down this process. This is weird that I'm seeing this here too. So maybe this is my path. And so when I signed up, I got my little private coach, and he says, Connor, go ahead and set your goals. And I fill out this questionnaire and I put on there. I was like, I'm going to work 1,000 days straight until I'm financially free. And you know what he said to me our first session? He said, Connor, I like that you're thinking big, but let's think a little bit more realistic. Let's do something that you can actually accomplish. And so and I was like, basically this motherfucker, right? I don't know how he puts on here, but I was legitimately pissed. Here I am putting all this money up, having the guy who's supposed to teach me how to change my life. For one, he's not the guy I was supposed to get anyways.
Right.
And so I went out and so this is how it happened. So I never even worked 7 days in a row, long days. So I put in 7 days in a row, and I said, if I can do it 7 days, I can do it 7 more days. And then after you do that, you put in 14 days in a row. Now you say, if I've done it 14, now I can do it 2, and then a month, and then 2 months. And all of a sudden, I worked a year straight, every single day, all day. And then I said, if I did it a year, I can do it again. So it's a decision to do it, and you can do it. People just don't want to make that decision.
Man,
they'd rather watch TV.
Yeah. So Connor, what when you're working 1,100 days straight, what's going on, man? What kind of things are you doing at this time?
A lot of trial and error and getting my ass kicked, right? So in the beginning, I spent months secluded studying webinars. I mean, I bought a ton of home study courses. I read every book I could. I was just consuming information, just like most investors. I'd fear. I was scared I was going to go out there. I was going to make a mistake and get sued. I was scared I was going to lose a bunch of money. And so I did what most people do, which is they overeducate themselves instead of getting out there and just jumping in. And so that's basically what I did. I just spent a ton of time studying. And then, I was basically experimenting with marketing, direct mail campaigns, other strategies that I didn't know anything I was doing, with partially kind of some bad help from this company. And quickly I started running up a bunch of debt. I mean, I even bought a house. I bought a mobile home and I closed on the land, but I didn't buy the mobile home. And I almost got myself in a situation where I had to, basically would have had to go to court, but I, signed off on it and I kind of paid to get out of it. But so I made a bunch of mistakes. You can't be scared to make mistakes, guys. I've probably made every mistake in the business. And, 6 months later, I had gone from about, like I said, $27,000 in my account to almost negative $60,000. And I borrowed every dollar I could. I'd taken out a $50,000 credit line, supposedly line, right, guys? So be careful, because there's credit card companies. They're going to advertise, get $50,000 to $250,000 unsecured lines of business credit. But what you're getting is a culmination of business credit cards. You can't pull the cash advances off like they're going to tell you. It's not like a credit line you can stroke a check off of. And this is a big mistake I see a lot of people make, which I made. Plus, the interest rates are higher. And so that's kind of how I got myself in trouble. And I quickly ended up where I had, almost $60,000+ in debt and didn't know what I was going to do.
Wow. Yeah. Holy smokes, man. Lots of value. I appreciate you sharing that last thing about the unsecured credit lines and whatnot. I see so much going around, about that. I think there's actually a few like MLMs and stuff that even get involved in the business lines of credit. I want to welcome all the viewers that are just tuning in. We are currently live right now with Connor Steinbrook, real estate investor from the DFW area. A lot of value here, Connor, so far, man. A lot of value. Really having a good time here. Guys, post some questions. Connor has agreed, I hope, still, that we'll get to a few questions towards the end. So if you guys have any questions at all, real estate related, business related, post those in the chat. Connor, can you walk us through your first deal? A lot of new entrepreneurs in real estate, it's the first deal that they're most terrified of. Can you tell us about yours?
Yeah, I can. Do you want me to tell you what happened before I got into that?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead. Yeah, for sure.
So, a lot of the reason why, I'm hearing a little reverberation in the back is that, I don't know if it can turn down, but, so guys, what happened was I ran up all that debt, and I literally got to a point where I couldn't even take out any more credit cards. I couldn't do anything. I had no money left to run my business, and I had bill collectors call me, and I had to make my bills. And so I literally did what I had to do, which is I went and I got a job working for minimum wage. As embarrassing as it sounds, you have to do what you have to do. So I got a job working at a sporting goods store, and I'll never forget it. And this is like, people heard me tell this story before, but I get my name called over to the sporting aisle, and I have my 18-year-old boss, didn't graduate high school, comes over and throws me a sweep pan in a broom and says, sweep it up. And I look down, and some little kid had spilled 50,000 airsoft BBs all over the floor. And he's laughing at me because he's like, here's Connor, made all this money playing poker, had everything together a couple of years back, and now here he is sweeping the floor. And I just remember that day, like, it was like when, they say, you hit rock bottom. That was the day I said, you know what, like, I don't care if I ever eat or sleep again. I'm going to make this work. And I just kept pushing. And so I started going to the REI clubs because I couldn't afford anything else, and I still needed help. And the one thing I had done good was build a buyer's list. I built a buyer's list for free using the internet, and I was at a club, and someone had a property flyer. So at these REI clubs, guys, people bring their deals to sell. And this is how I stumbled across the co-wholesaling double assignment strategy, where they had a house, an individual had a house, and I asked if I sold that house to someone for them, would they split the commission with me? And they said yes. And so I didn't even know what I was doing. I didn't even have an agreement with them. And I basically contacted a friend I knew who had some money, and I wholesaled that house to them, to him. And this is important because I know a lot of you are scared of contracts when you're starting. I didn't get it. I didn't have a contract, and I ended up making about $700 on that house when I should have made $4,000. When $3,300 difference would have been the world to me at the time. Is because I didn't want to take the time to learn the contract. When all you have to do is read it like 5 times in a row, and now you're going to understand it. And so, but what that did was, even though I only made $700 on my first deal, I looked at like I had a $100,000 downswing before I made $700. But I said, if I had found that deal on my own and found that buyer on my own, I would have made $8,000. I said, if I can make $8,000 and do it a few times, I'm going to start getting myself out of this mess. And so even though it was only 700, it sparked that string of thinking that said, this is actually real, this is possible. It's the first glimpse of hope that I had. And so, I kept running internet ads. I was running Craigslist ads, and I ran an ad that said, we have a house, and someone called me, asked me if I wanted to buy their house or buy a house that they were a wholesaler. And I
wait, did you say Craigslist?
Craigslist, yeah.
when Craigslist used to work,
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, man. Craigslist is so saturated nowadays, man. Still cool work, but that's awesome, man. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, they basically, they don't want people spamming, so they've kind of shut it down, so it's too tough. But at that time, I had no money, so Craigslist was one of the only things I could do, and I was literally running 300 ads a day. If people go back in Dallas, they're probably like, yeah, I couldn't, this guy was pissing me off because it was like I blanketed it. And
smokes.
And so I get a call coming in, and this guy's like, I got a house for sale in Haltom City. And I was like, where's Haltom City? I didn't even know where it was. And it was only an hour away from me. And at that time, I was also making a mistake a lot of new investors make, which is only looking for deals in their backyard. And so guys, if you're a wholesaler, you're not buying these houses on your own. Spread your area out that you're looking, because you don't even have to go to the house. Your buyer can come look at the house. You don't even have to show up. And so I hung up the phone, basically was like, I don't know, man, I'm probably not interested. And right after, I had someone call me and ask if I had any houses in this area. And so I said, hold on, let me call back. And I connected the two. And that guy went over there, looked at the house, and called me back. He's like, I want it. And I couldn't believe it. And so I called the other individual back, still not learning from my first mistake, getting under contract, but this time it worked out okay. And that wholesale deal went down, and I got a $2,000 check mailed to me. I never went to the house, never met the seller, never met the wholesaler, never met the buyer, never went to closing, did it all from my office, and I got a $2,000 check in my pocket. And that kind of sparked this, oh my gosh, like, I don't need to go find deals. I can find buyers and find people who have deals and sell those deals for them. Because most people get in, they're so focused, they think the money is being made by finding deals, when if you build a big buyer's list, while they're looking for deals, they're not building a buyer's list, they're going to need help selling them. So a lot of the big wholesale companies in your area, guys, those ones sitting at 40, 50 deals a month, they're selling other people's houses for them. They're not the primary lead generator. They're not spending that money marketing to find it. They're an exit source to the back-end wholesaler position of a co-wholesale. And so that's what I started doing. I started doing a bunch of these JV wholesale deals, these joint venture wholesaling, and because I didn't even have money to put in my card, like literally at that point. And so then I started making money doing these joint venture wholesale deals. I started having a little bit more money. I started experimenting with marketing. Now I had money to lose. I started doing my own wholesale deals. Instead of making 50%, I was making 100%. Now I was making more money. I used that to start, and then I started having enough money to get into hard money loans. I started flipping houses, and I became bank financeable. I started keeping houses. So I went from JV wholesaling, flipping houses, owner financing, creating notes, selling partial notes, doing land trust, IRAs, and it just spiraled out of control.
Yeah,
it just happened, and
just started playing in every space, every genre, every niche possible. Connor, I want to talk about the virtual wholesale stuff and the joint venture and stuff, because I've been preaching that for years. Whenever somebody comes to me and they want to get started in real estate, I'm sure you can totally agree with this, and they're like, I don't have any money. I said, well, look, if you want to really take a real estate business to the next level, you're going to need to invest some sort of capital into marketing at some point. But if you're absolutely broke, like I was and you were at the time, go find people that have deals, right? Exactly. Or vice versa. There's free strategies out there like door knocking, guerrilla marketing, using bandit signs for super, super cheap, or going to networking events, building that buyer's list like you talked about, reverse wholesaling, right? Go find people that have a deal. So what kind of things were you saying to people? Or if somebody wanted to get started doing this right now, what's like the opening phrase you say to somebody that has a deal?
Yeah, there's wholesalers all over your market that are brand new that have houses under contract. You can call bandit signs. You can go on Craigslist right now. And believe it or not, most wholesalers' numbers are not accurate, right? And so you have about 9 out of 10 wholesalers who are positive in their thinking. They're hoping they're over optimistic that these numbers are right, but their numbers are inflated, which is why people are getting upset. But guys, like, wholesalers are not trying to rip people off. They just don't know what they're doing. They've never rehabbed a house. They don't even know what repair costs are. They're just trying to get a deal done and make it happen. But on the flip side, there's a small portion of the population of wholesalers. They're like, this is the business I'm getting in. I want to protect my reputation. And so they're going to be on the conservative side. So say the house is worth 100, they may say it's worth a little bit less, or say the repair costs are actually 20, they may say 30, because they don't want people saying, oh, well, that's one of those other wholesalers with the wrong numbers. So they're going to come on the conservative side. But say if the house is really worth 110 and they say it's worth 100 and the repair costs are really 20 and they say it's worth 30, there's an extra 20 grand of what I call ghost equity in the property. So there's really a deal there, but because they have wrong numbers and they've done it incorrectly, they don't realize that. So I'll reach out to these individuals and say, hey, look, I'm a wholesaler in the area. I've built a database of thousands of investors. I can sell your house in the next 48 hours. I need to go into a joint venture agreement with you, and basically explain to the process and see if they let me have a chance to sell that property for them. And so even now, so say someone has a house at 95 and they're trying to sell it at 100. They're trying to make $5 grand. What if I can sell that house legitimately 110? But now they're going to make 75. I'm going to make 75. They're going to make 50% more in profit. So I actually help them, and I'm making money doing so. So the power of building a big buyer's list is you can sell houses for more. We're looking for specific types of buyers. We're looking for individuals who are not using debt leverage. They're not financing these properties with a loan. They're using their own money. So if you're not using a hard money loan or a private money lender, how much more can you pay for a house? Plus, if they have any type of connection to the business as well, what happens if they're a contracting company and they've just done well, or their foundation company? Now they can do the work cheaper. So if you build your buyers list large enough, you're going to get these types of buyers. And so, you can literally sell a house for more than what they can even sell it for and make them more. And this is what I like about this is why I talk about cyclical wholesaling. Because say, Ross, if you had a house at 95 and you came to me and you were trying to sell it for 100, and I sold it at 110 and made you 75, I made 75, and you get another house under contract and you go try to sell it and you can't sell it, what are you going to do with it? You're going to bring it back to me. Right. So it creates a cyclical pattern. So instead of going and looking for homeowners, because if you go find a house, you wholesale that house, it's good, you make 10 grand, but that house is gone, you can't make money on it again. Where if you spend your time building joint venture partners in your area that are deal finders, you can do multiple deals with them, which is how these
deal flow. Man, yeah, really, really powerful strategy. Connor, what would be the average JV split in your opinion?
Probably about $5 grand. So basically just assume whatever half the wholesale fee is. So right now in Dallas, the average wholesale deal is maybe 8 to 10 grand.
So you're doing the 50-50 model.
Yeah, you can. Okay. And so we'll actually, if say someone, so I'll give you all a strategy that I use to get JV partners from some of these bigger companies. To say, what if Ross has been working with this one company for 3 years and they're selling all the deals he can't sell on his own, right? Why would he have any incentive to come work with me unless I give him more of his own deal? And I can simply reach out to him and say, hey, Ross, look, man, look, I know you're working with this other company. I know they're selling your deals for you, but how much are they taking? Ross, I think you're putting more time in. I think you're spending your money marketing. You're more valuable than this. I don't need 50%. What if I only took 25%, right? And guys, you got to look at, you've already built your buyer's list. How much time is it into a wholesale deal? You put a property flyer together, right? So you got a few hours in the deal. So if it's a $10,000 wholesale deal and you're making $2,500 for a few hours worth of work, so you're going to have to, you're going to have to approach these individuals. Why would they have any incentive to leave someone who they've had a working relationship with unless you're playing on their greed? You're motivating them by, their greed and future gain. And so that's how you're going to convert these individuals to give you a chance. So say, just give me a chance, right? Because I explained to them, the way I built my buyers list, I have basically every buyer from every wholesale company in Dallas, right? So I have all the same buyers, but I'm going to give you more of your profit. Why don't you just try it one time? What's the worst thing that happens? You can go back, right? And so that's what I started doing. Yeah.
Awesome, man. So was this all like local stuff here, or have you done any virtual wholesale deals out of state?
Yeah, that's a good question, because a lot of people hear me talk about virtual wholesaling and they assume I'm in Florida wholesaling houses in Hawaii, right? I can virtual wholesale house in my subdivision. Excuse me. When I'm talking about virtual wholesaling, I'm talking about by doing it using systems, using technology, using virtual assistants, using DocuSign, using, I'm just not going to the property, right?
Yeah, exactly. Everything's taking place from your couch on your laptop, and you don't have to actually go to the property and negotiate with the seller and do all those things and be involved. But have you ever done one of those deals out of state?
I've done a couple. Yep.
Okay.
But it's not like what we're trying to do. But
right.
Like you're going to get leads that come in that from other states that are really good. Guys, the internet's here, right? We're in 2018. You can tie up that house under contract, under option contract. Even if you don't have a buyer in that market, simply just go to Google and start going down, we buy houses, Tampa or whatever, and just go down the list. You're going to find someone there. Mm-hmm. If there's room in the deal, you're going to find a buyer.
The resources are out there.
Don't just let those go by. But yeah, we're not actively trying to do that. But Dallas-Fort Worth is huge, right? From northeast Collin County to southwest Tarrant County, it could take an hour and a half to drive. And one of the biggest reasons that investors fail is because it's a ticking time bomb of how much cash they have when they start their business, and they waste too much time driving around in the car. So if you drive out to properties that aren't deals, you're not pre-screening, you're wasting all your time in the car. Everybody does it, right? I'm not bashing on people. I did it, and that's how I know how to talk about it right now. And so what I want to do, and then you go out and waste time with the seller, then you drive back, you get stuck in traffic, and you're kicking yourself, but you didn't screen the lead properly. Where we can get these houses under contract over the phone and DocuSign them, and so I'm avoiding all that time in the car. If y'all can get more efficient at getting in and off the phone quickly and avoiding that time in the car, you're not going to burn out as fast. You're going to save more money. You're going to have more time to build your business, and you're going to grow faster.
Oof. Golden nuggets, man. I love it. And speed is the name of the game, man. I agree with that. So you're doing this. You're wholesaling. You're making some money. Then what? What happens after?
And I started flipping houses. So I got a house under contract, and I was like, you know what? These other people are flipping houses. I want a bigger check, right? So I went to a hard money lender, and you know how they say, like, if we'll loan 70 cents on the dollar. And so I found this house where I would have been all in at like 65 cents, repairs, everything. So I was like, I don't need any money to get into this. And so I went to him, and he was like, well, here's the real deal, right? You're going to have points up front. You're going to have origination. You're going to have to leave money as a temporary down payment escrow. You're going to have to fund your first draws. And so quickly I realized that you don't just get into a hard money loan, guys. Like, you're going to have skin in the game. On a typical house here, we have at least 15, maybe 20 grand into them. And so, but I saved up some money, and I realized that, and I started flipping houses. Got to learn how fun the contractors were, right? I had everything go wrong flipping houses, guys. I've been there, done that. Had everything stolen from me. And so I started flipping houses. I started flipping 3 or 4 houses a month. And then that kind of led me to where I was able to have a couple years of good income to produce to the banks. So now I was bank financeable. So I started buying these houses and doing, a lot of people are big on the burst strategy, right? Fix and finance. So I buy a depressed house. I'd leverage it through a high interest short-term loan. I'd buy it, force the depreciation up by fixing it up, and then I'd go back after the seasoning period and I'd finance my money out. And so that's kind of what I was doing. And during that time period, I had, flipped a couple houses. And as you start to make more money in this business, you start to feel invincible and you start taking down all sorts of random properties that you wouldn't. And I was buying houses in little small secondary markets, and I bought this house and I flipped it and I couldn't sell it. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I had this loan underneath it and I didn't know how I was going to get out of it. I thought I was going to sell it for 120. And I think I was literally down to couldn't even sell it for 95 or something. I was freaking out. And so what I did was I'd been during this time period researching creative financing subject to owner and all sorts of different types of strategies. And so I basically owner financed the house, and I seasoned the note and I sold the note, and that's how I was able to get out of it. And so that's kind of how I figured out how to do owner financing, not because it was because of necessity, right? It's my only way to get out of that deal.
Yeah. It was your only exit strategy that you saw, possible at the time, and you kind of got pushed into it. There's money to be made in the owner finance space, man. I like the note game. It's exciting. I like being able to log online. You can literally just purchase a note with a debit card. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, the note business is great. So, but basically what happened, guys, so here's what you got to look at. The power. So I made a ton of money in poker, but it didn't matter because it was all transactional. Once the job it disappears, it's gone, right? And we'll touch on multiple streams of income here in a second because that's very important as well. But I was 30 years old, and I think it was I read Rich Dad Poor Dad or something, and it hit me like a lightning bolt. Passive income. I was like, I can work really hard. I was like, I work really hard, right? But if I work really hard to build something that pays me over and over, I work once and it pays me over and over and over forever. It just completely, I couldn't believe I was just now coming across this. It didn't even make sense that I hadn't thought about it before. And so that's what I did. Everything I was doing was to create cash flow, create passive income, residual income. And so I'd do these transactional deals, wholesaling, flipping houses, and take that money and stick it into a seed that's going to grow over time. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of still what we do now. We wholesale a couple, flip a couple, keep one, right? So I was trying to create notes and keep rental properties and stack them up and build that cash flow because I said, I want to make sure I built a fortress so strong and so tough that it doesn't matter what happens to me. No one's ever going to knock me down like I was before. I never wanted to feel that again. And so I was like, I'm going to just keep building my portfolio until I hit, financial freedom, which is the day that you're, all your liabilities to live your life, your bills, your food, your clothes, whatever it is, are overcome by the cash flow that you bring in by even just $1.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So I was obsessed with this thought process of I'm going to retire myself early through financial freedom, through cash flow properties. And so that's kind of the progression.
I'd love to hear your opinions on scaling a real estate business, right? Because you started off doing one thing, and then you started doing all these other things, doing 3 deals a month, 4 deals a month. What's your advice to somebody that is, doing 1 to 2 deals a month that wants to start doing 5 to 10 deals a month? Whether it be wholesale or flipping or, rentals or just deals in general.
It's just about volume, right? If you can figure out how to do 1 deal, 2 deals, whatever you're doing to generate those leads, ramp it up. So if you're spending $2,000 a month in marketing to generate 2 deals, why not spend $10,000 in marketing? $20,000 in marketing, 10x that shit, right?
10x.
I know you like credit cards, but seriously,
right.
But some people have a risk. They're scared of the risk, right? Mm-hmm. But you just have to scale. You spend more, you run more ads, you do more signs. Whatever you're doing right now, it's simple math. If you do more of what you're doing now, but you're already having success doing it now, you're going to have more success doing it. And so that's why people like direct mail, because it's scalable. So how hard is it to go from 5,000 postcards a month to 50,000? You simply write a bigger check or break out the credit card and you buy a bigger list. And you have to have a back office management system to handle those leads. You have to have people to handle the calls, and you have to be able to get people out there, to go work these leads. But the game changer for me was virtual assistants, right? So people ask me, how do I know when I need to hire someone? Right? You know when you need your CPA, when you need someone to come in, because you can't handle it on your own. But when you hit that point, when you can't handle it on your own, usually you're already making enough money that it doesn't matter. And so I think a lot of investors spend money on stupid stuff when they start their business. Guys, if you have not a lot of money, you're starting your business, you don't need CRM back office managers. You don't need all these bells and whistles. You need leads. You need lead generation. And so even though it's only $60 a month or $99 a month, if you take 5 or 6 things that you're spending this money on, it adds up, especially when, one deal could be that $20,000 wholesale that gets you to go ahead. And so I started, scaling, and I realized I needed help. So I started hiring virtual assistants. And that's kind of what helped me build my business and delegate my time off. And so I figured out what was not a good use of my time, and I delegated off to a virtual assistant.
Right. Yeah, absolutely, man. And I agree. Having a team is super important. I love virtual assistants as well. Everybody watching this right now, if you don't already have a virtual assistant, go get one. Do you use Upwork.com?
So I actually use a company called VA4REI initially. So it's a company out there. It's VA, the number 4 REI. And, they do a good job, but they train these virtual assistants to be real estate already. But what happens is, I'm not going to, kind of out them out, but it gets to a point where their virtual assistants that they train aren't happy with the compensation, and they all leave, right? And so somehow I just got a number of these assistants that had left there. And essentially what I did is I built a team out in the Philippines, right? So now I've got a number of virtual assistants. I have 6 virtual assistants that work with me. A few of them work in one office, and then I actually have some in Belarus that do other things for me.
Okay. Awesome, man. Connor, I want to talk a little bit about marketing. You said postcards, direct mail, things like that. Is that your favorite way to get deals? If not, what is?
Nah, man. I'm not a direct mail guy. I got my ass kicked early on. I sent out a $10,000 mail campaign. When I was running up all that, this is how bad it was. Because it's fun to talk about this stuff now, right? And I come out of it. At the time, it was scary. It was not fun. So I completely sympathize with you. The people who are listening to this struggling, I know what it feels like to wake up and feel like you're in a vice and the world's ripping you in half. And I know what it feels like, right? And so I literally got to a point where I had all the cash advances I could have, and I was like, you know what? I know direct mail works. I was like, I'm gonna put it all in one big direct mail campaign. This is so stupid. I can't believe I did this. And so I literally put together a $10,000 mail campaign for absentee owners, one touch campaign. And I was like, man, I want to get all these. I was like, how can I not get a deal out of this, right? And I sent it out. And the first day I was like, man, I was so excited. I was like, the calls are going to start coming in. They start coming in. And I got 6 calls, 7 calls, and then they stopped coming in. And I was just like, oh, they'll keep coming. They'll keep coming.
and they never came?
No, they didn't keep coming. And,
man.
I quickly realized I dropped all this money, and this was real. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they're not going to come, right? And so that did not work out well. And so that kind of made me bitter towards the direct mail world. And so a lot of strategies that people do, this is why you see some people really big on direct mail or really big on bandit signs or whatever it is. Whatever strategy you initially do, if you have quick success, say I'd sent out $1,000 in postcards and I got a deal, I'd be a direct mail guy because I would have said, this is my thing. But you can't be results oriented, because what if I send out more postcards and got a deal, right? But because of that, I said, this doesn't work. This is too risky. I didn't want to do it. And so I did a lot of bandit signs when I started because they work. It's a quick barrier of entry for a lot of new investors because anybody can put a sign in the yard in the ground. But right now we're doing a lot of skip tracing, cold calling. We do a lot of internet marketing. I get out there, and some of the things I do could be difficult to duplicate. I speak a lot at the REI clubs, which brings me joint venture leads, and I'm real big on referral marketing, reaching out to probate attorneys, people in the industry, right? Like a foundation company, right? So what if I contacted you and you ran a foundation company and I said, hey, look, how often do you get called out to a house and someone brings you out there, you waste your time, energy, and money going out there, and that you give them a bid for $15,000 at the foundation and they never call you back? So I say, Ross, you run a foundation company. How often does this happen? All the time. I said, what happens if, these people call you out? Let me explain to you what's going on behind the scenes. What's really going on is that person went to sell their house with a real estate agent. That agent told them the house is not financeable. They're going to have to fix it. So they call you. They don't have any idea how much it's going to cost. And all of a sudden it's $15,000 and they don't have the money to pay it. So they never call you back. What do? They call a house buying company like you, like me. But the house buying company that they're calling doesn't know that foundation company. The house buyer is going to call a different foundation company. So I say, what happens if that homeowner calls me as a house buyer and I buy that property and I know you, right? So I explained to them, I'm going to give you a referral fee and I'm going to sign something that allows you to do the foundation work on my property. So really, you're going to make more money than you would working directly with that homeowner to do the job by working with me. And so I've done this with a ton of different companies, roofers, electricians, foundation companies, plumbing companies, HVAC companies. And so we built a massive referral system here, all through autoresponders and internet drip campaigns. So that's one of the things that we've done quite a bit. Because right now, guys, you can't just simply do what everybody else is doing. It's not going to work. You can't just simply go buy the same list that everybody else is, send the same postcard. Like everybody has the same postcard. Everybody's postcard says we buy as is, we pay cash, we close fast. It's like, how are you going to distinguish yourself, right?
I love it, man. Yeah, great tips. We do have some questions coming in the chat. I do want to get to those, guys. I promise. Stick around. Connor, I want to shift things here a little away from the real estate stuff, back to just the business entrepreneurial mindset. We have a bunch of people tuned in right now. They haven't started their business yet. They want to get in real estate, and they're super inspired by all the value that you've been sharing with us tonight. So would you be able to share like 3 major action tips for somebody to start like now?
Yeah, guys, if you haven't researched self-development, you got to start the process of training yourself in every which way possible. I was financially broke, physically broke, spiritually broke, emotionally broke. I mean, I was at the bottom, like, man, like it was bad. Like people don't realize, they see now, but they have no idea what people actually deal with, right? So you're going to have to get out there. A lot of the people that changed my life, right, were people like Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, Bob Proctor, Tony Robbins, Les Brown. A lot of these individuals, I would religiously listen to their audios, their presentations, books, right? Yeah, if y'all haven't read Think and Grow Rich, that's a cliche, but that's one of the books that changes most people's life, right? Because it changes the thought process, it changes the way you think about things. Every book that you can get is going to increase your chance of being more successful, right? Reading books on neuro-linguistic programming, body language, sales, negotiations, psycho-cybernetics, whatever you can do to add more skills to yourself, the more likely you are to succeed. I promise you this. I know a lot of different people that are highly successful. And I'm not talking about people that make $500,000 a year. I'm talking about really successful people. There's no such thing as getting lucky. When you're on bottom and you're looking at people who are successful, you think, well, man, maybe if I just get lucky and run into the right person, they'll give me an opportunity and I can take that opportunity. Or maybe if I just have the right idea, I can think of something I can invent, or I can start a company. It doesn't work that way, guys. You change yourself, and then because of that, attracted to you are these opportunities, right? So you change yourself first, and then the success comes. But there's no such thing as getting lucky. So you have to go out there and build skill sets, because we were talking about this before. If you can't create value to the marketplace and you're not adding value, what are you? No one's going to work with you. Why would you have any success? So you have to make yourself more valuable than everybody else around you, and then opportunities are going to come your way. So
boom.
Yes.
Man, Connor, I love it. And you talked about Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, Les Brown. Any specific books that you would recommend somebody go out and buy right away?
I mean, books are great. It depends on what type of
audios or anything. Besides Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah, I mean, like Shift Your Thinking, like John Maxwell books are great. If you're looking for like John Maxwell, I think he's got like 70 books. He's got like Jump Straight for Think. Like there's so many books, and they're all in the way we think. And because if you can't change your thinking, you hear this all the time, that people they just don't understand what that means. So you guys, you have to start looking into it. Like Brian Tracy, right? He's got a lot of great books on time management and system management and being efficiencies, and how to plan your day and how to structure your day. How to set goals correctly, right? Jim Rohn's good about how to set your goals. Like Robert Cialdini, right? Influence, the psychology of things, compound effect.
I love that you mentioned the NLP stuff, man. For the listeners out there, neuro-linguistic programming is one of the most intriguing topics I've ever learned about. So check it out on YouTube, Google. Connor, really, really important question here. I got 2 questions left for you, man. This question, I want you to think about it for a second. If you were to start all over before anything, that you would have done differently, and if so, what is it?
Going back,
back to 18 years old.
I mean, it's gonna piss a lot of people off, but I wouldn't have gone to college, and I would have gone straight into business for myself. And I mean, guys, like, college is the biggest ripoff ever. And like, people are like, oh, well, no, like college makes you more likely to be successful. That's bullshit, right? The reason why the statistics are the way they are about college is because most people who are affluent, who have the means to send their kids to school, are already coming from a little bit more of a privileged situation where they're already coming from being a little bit more intelligent or having some type of education. So naturally, it's going to skew the numbers. Most people that I know that are highly successful didn't go to college, or I know people that are successful and they say that, college had nothing to do to help them. So like, if you're thinking you have to have college or you send your kids to college, that's a lot of money. It's going to set you back. If you took those years and started 18, because I went to school for 5 years, right? Most people don't realize I graduated school with the exact 0.1 of I needed to graduate, right? And I didn't want to be there. I was making a ton of money. I remember I was in class and I show up late. My teacher's all like, give me the attitude. He's like, Connor, if you work really hard and you study really, really hard and you do the right things, you can go get a job and you can maybe make $45,000, $50,000 a year coming out of college. I looked at the dude. I was like, I made 50 grand the past 2 weeks playing poker. I'm out of here. And I walked out. And I was so pissed because I was like, why am I being told by society? Why am I being told by my parents? Why am I being told by everybody I have to go to college, right? I was like, this is wasting my time. This is holding me back, my opportunity cost of doing what I want to do. And so, I was really bitter. And I finished out college. I almost dropped out to play poker, but I finished out for my parents because I care about my family and my parents. They already spent a ton of time. I was so bitter that when graduation came, I literally didn't walk across the stage to get my diploma. I just basically was like, you know what? If you want it, you go get it. It's for you, right? So I don't think education is 110% the most important part of your life. Just what type of education are you going to get? I don't use anything from my college degree. I got a business marketing degree. I still can't figure out what I learned at this school, right? And I got a pretty good degree. So that's one thing I would have not done. I would have gone into business right away. And I would have gone into some type of residual model, passive income. I would have worked only for something that pays me over and over. And if I was working for some type of transactional income, I would have only been doing that to get to that passive income, if that makes sense, because you can start stacking it up. So I would have done that. I would have understand multiple streams of income, because the reason why I got chopped off so hard when the poker career ended is I had one income stream. If you only have one income stream, you are literally one bad day away from losing everything, right? So
I like that.
You have to have multiple income streams, because really, if people are like, well, I have two, that's not enough. Well, I have three, it ain't enough.
How many do you need?
As many as you can.
As many as you can.
When are you going to stop, right?
Keep it stacking.
I mean, like a safe number, I'd say like at least three. Like minimum, you should have three quality flows. So you build one income stream that's your foundation, that's feeding your business. Now this is going and this is how you're making your living, and it's good and strong. But now you start building your second one and your third one. It's best to build a symbiotic one that aligns with it, right? Because it's going to save you time, and they're going to kind of bounce off each other. But you have to be building other income streams, and you have to be building as many passive income streams as possible. It's not more jobs, it's more income streams. Because
I totally agree.
Yeah, and so more jobs makes you more busy.
I know we're involved in some of the same spaces. Like, real estate is great, and if you're involved in real estate right now, for all the listeners, you need to pay serious attention to affiliate marketing and making money online and utilizing social media. And that's another great way of, pulling money in, and, anybody can do it. Anybody can get started. Connor, my last question for you, man. And I asked every guest that comes on the show, what is the best, absolute best piece of advice that you have ever learned in your entire life?
Man, I would just say be obsessed, right? You can't be successful at a high level with anything unless you continuously, through repetition and heavy momentum, through a sustained period of time, and just don't underestimate how much effort it takes to become successful. I see these people, I mean, literally, I have these people coming to me all the time, coming to opt into our training program, and they're like, man, I'm working so hard, I'm trying to change my life, but I'm like, well, how much are you working? Like 20 hours a week. And I'm like, oh, okay, I understand. So you have a job and you have a family? No, I don't have anything. I just work 20 hours. And like, I'm like, I can't even believe that these people are so entitled to believe that 20 hours a week is going to get them to their goals. And I'm not saying that everybody needs to become a multi-deca millionaire. I'm not saying you have to work 100 hours a week. It comes down to your goals. Like, what if you're getting into real estate, what is your goal? If your goal is to make a couple extra wholesale deals a year so you can pay down some debt or have a better Christmas for you and your family, or just live a better lifestyle, you don't have to kill yourself. But if you seriously want to live that lifestyle where you can travel and live that, drive whatever car you want, house you want, if you want to be able to go to Walmart or wherever you shop and go down the aisle and buy what you want to buy, not because the price tag says that you can afford it, you're going to have to work harder. You can't just, take this. You have to be serious about what you're doing. And so I'm a big believer in momentum. That's why I don't take days off, because I don't want to break momentum. I don't want to slow down. I don't want to give if I take too much time off, what happens if I give it, give some air to something else that's going to come in and stop what I'm doing and stop the progression. So guys, it's repetitive, consistent momentum. Be obsessed with what you're doing day in, day out. I believe that anything you're doing, if you work at it every single day, all day, that anybody can be successful at whatever they're doing. But people just, try something for three months and give up. Like, how many people, Ross, get into real estate? They try for 3 to 6 months and like, this doesn't work for me, and I'm failing, and this is too tough. And I'm like, look, and I go to these same people, and I'm like, they come to me for consulting. I'm like, look, did you go to college? Yeah, I went to college. How many years? Like 5 years. How much money did you spend? $200,000. I'm like, you went to college for 5 years. Like, seriously, like, you went to college for 5 years, spent $200,000 to work for someone else for the rest of your life. But when it comes to changing your own life and living the dream that you've always wanted, you're going to give up after 3 months and a few $1,000s. Are you crazy? Like, it doesn't make any sense. But nobody's here to slap people and say, look, this is how it is. Get out there, work, do it over a sustained period of time, be obsessed about it, work so hard that one day you just wake up and you're like, man, I can't believe how much money is in my account. You have to literally work where I don't even know what day it is half the time. Seriously, I forget to eat. And if that's not your situation right now, you ain't working hard enough. I promise you, you're not working hard enough. And there's enough people that are, they're going to get the opportunities. And so I don't think people are obsessed enough. They're not working enough hours. And I don't think they realize how much it takes, because they see people in public, they see a snapshot of where people are at the present moment, and they just assume they got lucky, or they just assume they caught breaks. They don't see what sacrifices go in behind the scenes to get that person to where they're at, so where you can see what the rewards that they're reaping at the present moment. But if you're not taking things to the next level, and I know we'll bring up Grant Cardone again, you got to be doing things 10x, 20x, 30x, as much as you can. People ask me, how many mailers should I send out? As many as you can, as many as you can afford. How many hours should I work? As many as you can without dropping. It's as much as you can do, as many as you can. You got one life. One. Why not make it the best you can, right?
Connor, you got me fired up, bro.
You got me fired up.
Hey, guys, for those of you that are watching live and on the replay, go ahead, show Connor some love if you agree that he just dropped some freaking bombs. Man, that was incredible, bro. I might have to cut that audio out and just play that every morning.
Put it in your affirmation. Awesome, put it in your affirmation tape.
That's it, man. That's it. Connor, we have a question I want to get to real quick. We are almost out of time, so kind of got to wrap things up here. But Carrie Barker asks, what is the best way to leverage cash early in the business, real estate, to be able to buy more rehab projects?
Use other people's money. I mean, you're going to have to borrow money from people. And you can't, guys, here's the reason why people fail at raising money. Don't go to real estate professionals to raise money for your business, because if you do get the money from them, it ain't going to be cheap, right? It's going to be expensive money. You need to go out to other different avenues, business network meetings, find people that are successful in business outside of real estate, because those are people that are going to give you good money at good rates. Doctors, lawyers. I have people that own gyms, people that own car washes, people that own laundromats. These are the types of people that have excess cash that may have made millions of dollars. They don't know what to do with it. If you're going to trying to borrow money from people in real estate, why would they give it to you? Why would they not spend it on their own deals? Or they're so savvy of an investor, they're going to hit you with huge points and it's going to be too expensive. So When it comes to doing more deals, you either have to learn creative strategies to take these properties over and take them through subject to, or buy them direct from the owner with owner financing, get them to finance, or you're going to have to raise money, or you're going to have to wholesale houses to build up the cash to do so. There's really no other way to do it, right? Because hard money loans, say you're leaving 20 grand a house and you've got 100 grand in your bank account, you got 5 houses. And really you can't even do that because you need reserves. You've got to run your business. You have to pay for your marketing. You have to pay for your fixed costs, your sunk costs, your websites, all your monthly occurring fees. So you can't even do that. So the faster you can raise money, the better. Remember we talked about at the beginning of this podcast, the reason why people are paying 85 cents on the dollar for houses in Dallas is because they're avoiding the 10% in fees because they're using their own money. So really they're paying 85 cents, but they're making more than what most people who are using debt leverage are paying 80 cents on the dollar, right? Because they're not having any underlying payment that they have to make. So the faster you can raise money, the better. That's how you're going to do more deals. Raise more money.
Raise more money.
Yeah, it's got to raise more money.
I love it. Connor, what do you got for 2018, man?
We'll take over the world. No, I'm just kidding. No, we got a lot going on. Like, I'll be putting more stuff out with Investor Army.
Which can you talk about Investor Army? I think now would be a great time as well.
Yeah. So, similar to Ross, I'm in the education business, but in the affordable education business, right? I believe in low price point products. I believe in helping people with small programs like $300, $500, because I don't want to put someone at a disadvantage. I don't want to put someone in the grave when they start their business. Like when I went through that training program and put 35 grand, 40 plus people signed up with me. None of them are in the business. In fact, a few months later, most of them are out of the business. It's because they're put at such a disadvantage going in. So I believe anybody who's going to do what we just talked about, who's going to be obsessed, who's going to work hard, who's going to work 100 hours a week, who's going to change their life, who's willing to put sacrifices in, they shouldn't have to have a handicap of not being able to get the education they need through being able to afford for the education, right? So I put together a YouTube channel. I'll put out 2 videos a week. I'm going to do that going forward. I'll put out 1,000 plus videos on that channel. I think this year I already put out like 125, right? And guys, like I never filmed a video till February. So that's why hopefully they keep getting better. But we're going to do that. We got the podcast. I'm going to create low price point products because I really want to help people because I know how much pain I went through. I know literally how tough it was for me. And I said, you know what? I didn't like it. Other people out there are dealing with this. They need to path up, right? That's why I created the joint venture virtual wholesaling program to show people this is what I did to build my business when I ran out of money to where I literally couldn't feed myself. At one point, I was scared I was going to end up on the street panhandling for money. And I literally said in my mind, I said, if I have to go beg for money on the street corner to pay for my marketing, I'm going to do it. It didn't get to that point, but I literally would have. So my goal is to create a bunch of low price point products and teach people how to kind of get off the ground and grow a business without having any money. And so that's one of the things we're doing.
Awesome,
I got my acquisition companies. We're still doing real estate. And I've got some other businesses I'm working on as well.
Awesome, man. What, any goals for the commercial space or just single? How do you feel about that?
I think everybody gets the apartment bug, right? From time to time. I think I'm more likely to develop and build houses, build subdivisions than I would be to jump into apartments right away.
Why not just build a whole town, right?
That's what we're doing. Don't tell everybody we're coming to. I think he's about to tell you that I'm coming down to Houston. I'm buying everything, and we're going to tear it down, and we're going to rebuild Houston, right?
Hey, man, dude, you're welcome anytime. It's absolutely mind-blowing. I locked up a deal today in the subdivision that took on about 7 feet of water. And like you hear about it, you see it on TV, but until you actually see for your own eyes, like what happened and all the debris on the lawns, and it's just like, whoa. So Houston needs help, man. There's deals out here. Maybe you pick some of them up. Maybe I venture, Yeah. Connor, man, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show, man. You dropped so much value, so many nuggets. I took a bunch of notes, man. Some of the things you said, just on the money, on point, man. I love it. The real, the raw, the cutthroat, man. Either you're going to sink or you're going to swim. And I know that a lot of people did as well. I know all the viewers right now that are listening in are inspired, and they're going to want to reach out to you, man. So what's the best place to reach out to you?
Guys, you can go to info.investorarmy@gmail.com. We got our website, Investor Army. There's a lot more coming here over the coming year. Go check out our YouTube channel, Investor Army. We also have a podcast called Investor Army Podcast, which Ross is on there.
Hey.
There's actually a lot that, people download that one quite a bit. I don't know why.
Dude, that's a great show, man. You're pumping content out there too. I see on Facebook. Make sure you follow Connor on Facebook. I'll link him here in the chat. But man, you're dropping. I love your thumbnails, man.
Well, here, let me. While you're bringing on this is important. So, like, the reason why, this sounds a little arrogant, but the reason why a lot of people like the podcast isn't because of me. It's because the guests are really good. And the reason why I have really good guests on there, and some of these people are at the top of the world and they're big CEOs of big companies, is because one of the reasons why y'all are slow in your success is because you're not going to what I tell people, you got to go to the head of the snake, right? So if you're going to an REI club, at the end of that REI club, what do people do? They talk to everybody else in the crowd. What did I do? I went straight to the REI club owner. When you go to the biggest person that you can find, the person that can accelerate your growth the fastest, you don't just meander around talking to people who have no ability to push you forward, that you can't help, they can't help you. You go to the biggest name possible, right? So you want coaching, you go to the biggest person you know. You want to learn about direct mail, you find the person who's doing the most in direct mail, you go ask them, and if they're not willing to help you for free, or you're not willing to work for them and trade, you pay them, right? You don't just go ask some random person that's kind of playing around with direct mail to help you with it, right? So you gotta go from here to here to the biggest person to the top of the ladder, right? You have to go and make that leap, because otherwise you're just going to sit there at the bottom spinning your wheels and you're not going to progress forward.
Make the leap. I love it, man. And on that note, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the show. Connor, man, as always, once again, really appreciate you coming on the show, man. It was an absolute pleasure, dude. I look forward to stay connected with you next time I'm up in Dallas, which should be soon. And for those of you that are right now live or on the replay, hit Connor up, show him some love in the chat. I'm sure he'll be around in the comments if you guys have any questions. And as always, we'll see you on the next episode. Connor, have a good night, buddy.
Yeah, man, Ross, appreciate it.